This is chapter 2.4. Before we actually go into that, I just want to emphasize something, and it's at the end actually of this set of notes. If I say positive 5, that's the same thing as just saying 5. So if there's no sign, the sign of that number is always positive. This isn't something that is usually mentioned, but it's always applied, often and in every math class. So, I also want to say that plus a negative 5 technically is the same thing as just saying minus 5. That's also something that doesn't always get mentioned, and I've kind of introduced it to you, but I haven't really specifically outright said it. But I think you need to know this. Now, again, according to our rules of signed numbers, when we deal with multiplying and dividing signed numbers, the rule is spun. Same sign, positive answer. Opposite signs or unlike signs is a negative answer. So positive times positive is positive, negative times negative is positive, positive divided by positive is positive, negative divided by negative is positive. So all four of these situations equal a positive answer. Now as soon as you throw in opposite signs, notice opposite signs, and it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative first, the answer is always negative. Now I'm going to expand on this a little bit. If you have an even number of negatives, it's always a positive answer. And I'm going to show you how that applies in just a moment. Odd number of negative numbers is also a negative answer. So how does that apply? Well, a negative 2 to the positive 4th power. That gives us negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. A negative kills a negative. A negative kills a negative. Aha! We came up with something that's going to be positive. Now 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 gives us 16. And then here, negative 2 to the 3rd power is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. A negative kills a negative. We're still left with a negative answer. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 gives us an 8. So what is the difference between this and this? Well, as we saw, the whole base is a negative number, so negative 5 to the 2nd power means negative 5 times negative 5. But a negative kills a negative, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now the problem comes here. The only thing getting raised to the 2nd power is the 5. So this is the opposite of 5 squared, which means the opposite of 5 times 5, which means we've got a negative 25. Same number for both of these. The only problem is they're opposite signs. Now, negative 6, and remember, if there's nothing between the 6 and the parenthesis, it does mean times. So negative 6 times negative 2. Come back up here, same signs, positive answer. So positive answer, and then 6 times 2 is 12. On part B, 9 times negative 9. unlike signs, negative answer. So a negative, and 9 times 9 is 81. Well, part C right here is getting a little bit harder. We've got 3 numbers, but I see that there's a negative here and a negative here. So a negative kills a negative, and we're going to end up with a positive answer. So now we do 6 times 2 is 12, and then times 4. And 12 times 4 is 48. Now, whoops, a bunch more negatives running around. So a negative kills a negative, but we still have a negative. And now we take 5 times 3 is 15, and a 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 15 gives us 15. If you have problems with it, ask. Now remember, this negative is not in parentheses, so it has to stay. And then 3 squared is 3 times 3, which gives us 9. This negative is in parentheses, so I'm squaring all of that. So negative 3 times negative 3 gives us a positive 9. Then negative divided by a positive, and usually I prefer you to take care of the sign first. So opposite signs, negative answer, and then 24 divided by 3 gives us 8. Same signs, same positive. So chop chop, and 30 divided by 6 leaves us 5. Okay? Now, I is here for a specific reason. I don't care what the numbers are, and I don't care what the signs are. Automatically, I see in my list a big fat 0. Well, all of these are being multiplied. So when there's a 0 in the list and everything's being multiplied, the answer is automatically 0. Don't do the work, just put 0. Now, we've got a negative in parenthesis, and it is to an odd power. And remember up here, okay, it says an odd number of negative numbers is a negative answer. So when I come down here, all I have to do, because this is a negative inside and an odd outside, it's a negative answer. And 1 times 1 times 1, 57 times. 1 times 1 is still just 1. A lot of people try to put a 57 there, and that's the wrong answer. Now, this actually, it shows as one problem, but this actually is 2 problems. X times y, x divided by y, when x is negative 6 and y is positive 7. So for x, y, I'm going to put negative 6 times positive 7. Negative times positive is negative. 6 times 7 is 42. Now for the other one, I could say, x divided by y this way, or I could say x divided by y. And I prefer this setup as a fraction. So negative 6 over 7. Negative divided by positive is still negative. So actually, we're done on this one. So quit, idiot, you're done. Alright. If a golfer scores 7 under par on 3 days of a tournament, what was her score? Well, she got 7 under par. That means a negative 7. And in golf, that happens to be a good thing. Then, how many days did she get that same score? 3 days. So technically, what we're doing is multiplying. Negative times positive. Remember spun. Unlike signs, negative answer. So 7 times 3 is 21. And again, if you don't understand it, ask.